Hi, friends. Welcome back to an episode of Riding Tandem. This is actually episode number 51. And the intention was that we were going to have a big celebratory episode number 50. However, the best laid plans got a little bit delayed just with things going on in life and when we were able to record this episode. Because this episode's special. It's with Michaela, my business partner, hopped on for this one, and we answer 25 questions. So the idea being just in fun, 25 questions. Each of us answering means you get 50 answers to the 25 questions in celebration of hitting a milestone of 50 episodes. Now, like I said, this is actually number 51 in the lineup here, but we still went with the theme and just had a lot of fun here. You're going to hear Michaela and I just have a truly candid conversation going through different questions, asking each other back and forth for these. Some of the questions are just super fun, lighthearted, favorite childhood shows and pet peeves, things like that. And some of them get much deeper about what success looks like for us or how we handle failure or just hopes and dreams that we have. So this episode's just meant to be one that is encouraging to you. We always talk about on Riding Tandem here, part of our goal is just to peel back the curtain of what is it like to run a business, to be a leader within your business organization. And some of that's just getting down to like some real talk, right? So that's what this episode's all about, as well as just an opportunity for you as a listener of Riding Tandem to get to know us and to just like feel like you're being part of the community and building that relationship with us as well. So we hope that you enjoy this. There's a lot of really good content here, some of our suggestions for you, and there's also just some fun and laughter and lightheartedness, as well as just some really serious moments and opportunities to talk through things that we're dealing with or going through in our daily lives right now as we are the owners running our company, TandemWorks. Okay, let's jump in and just have a really great conversation. Well, hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Riding Tandem. And today we're doing something fun. Michaela is on the podcast again with me today, my business partner. And we're around the 50th episode, but this should actually be episode 51. We had planned that this would be episode 50, but life happens, business happens. So it's episode 51, with the idea being that we were going to answer 50 questions. Decided 50 questions was going to be a bit too much, so we broke it down to 25, but it equals around 50. Just something fun to commemorate that we're hitting around our 50th episode, which is really exciting. 51 technically, but we're just going to roll with it.
We can make our own rules.
We can make our own rules. That's right. That's one of the fun things about business. You make some of your own rules. So we're going to dive in here. And the goal here is that I think we're actually going to learn stuff about each other, because even though we work together and we have for a number of years, there's still things that come up, but also just an opportunity for all of our listeners to get to know the two of us a bit too. So it's fun. We're going to jump into some lighthearted things, and we're going to have some serious things. And I don't think there'll be any crying or anything, but who knows? We'll see how it goes.
You never know.
Never know. Okay, so question number 1. I'll start us off, and then we can bounce back and forth. Sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, question number 1 of 25. Michaela, what inspired you to start a business?
Well, I was kind of doing things, just a little bit of photography here and there, and I was working a real job, as people would say, in an office.
They do say real job.
Real job, yep. Working a real job, and decided that, well, I knew I hated it. I did not like it at all. There were aspects I liked, but I was like, I think I can make enough money here for the next couple months, and I'll just figure it out.
Yeah. I know we talked about that a little bit in one of our earlier episodes too. I think it was like Loving Your Mondays. If you look for episodes about Loving Mondays, where you dive into that, because that was important to you.
Yeah, I dive into how I thought my mom thought I was annoying because I complained about my job all the time. So she told me that
she's like,
I should quit because you're annoying. Yeah. Like, if my mom thinks I'm annoying, what do other people think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I first inspired to start a business. I would have to say, like, it just goes back to my grandparents owned their own businesses. My parents owned their own separate businesses. And so it was kind of like, I don't like what inspired. I guess it was just always a thing. Like, I'm going to own a business. I started teaching dance classes at a really young age. I made change wallets within my dad's business as our own little business, change wallets for casinos. We grew up in Reno, Nevada. It's a thing. Don't worry. We were kids. We weren't gambling. We were just making the wallets for people. So I think just inspired by my family, right? Like that they always just did that. And so I was just inspired to own my own thing and do it as well. So that's probably where I would say that inspired me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How about, can you share a pivotal moment from your career before this venture? The venture of Tandem
Yes.
Works.
The venture of Tandem Works. Okay. Yes. So pivotal moment would be, I had a production company prior, co-owned that with my now ex-husband, and I got divorced. And that was a pivotal moment, and it was messy. I really just lost everything. Lost the business, lost the house, lost a marriage, lost a lot of identity for myself. So that was pivotal. And then I actually ended up working a little bit with you, Michaela, but it wasn't on Tandem Works. So that was also pivotal, like just like going into that. And then I worked a short stint at Bulu for about a year and then got laid off there. And so it was like a culmination of that little series. That was like a pivotal time frame for me, where I also was like, nope, I really love owning my own thing. Going back.
Yeah. It was kind of like just little kind of like here, where just through the cycle time there.
Yeah. What about for you?
Well, at one point, I don't remember exactly what year this was. I was considering going back to school to get my master's for like therapy or counseling, and a friend of mine was like, "You have a gift. Like, harness it. Just get it together. Come on, like, do it and own it." So that's what I did.
And that
So
was
then I
like
went all
in the photography side, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
yeah.
I think you've told me before that you thought about counseling and therapy. And I was just reminded of that. It's interesting because I've often thought about that too. I wonder if there's like some sort of,
Because we
like
like to
just
solve
within what
people's
we
problems.
do. Yeah. We like to tell people what to do.
So we might not be good therapists. That
We'd be
we should
terrible
probably
therapists.
stay away. Yeah.
Because you're supposed to help lead them and all that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we do with facilitating our workshops. Like we're helping lead
Yeah.
people to answers, trying not to tell them what they're like need to do, because we don't always know either. It's kind of a journey.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
that's interesting. Okay, how do you juggle work and personal life right now?
I don't. In a sense, yes, I do juggle it. I think we are both pretty good at this too, where we are able to take a step back for the other person and say, like, you need to go focus on what matters right now. Like, your kids are sick, focus on that. I'll handle this over here. So I feel like we do a good job, like, putting things into perspective. And when it comes to that, but there is a blog out there that says work-life balance is a lie. Where I dive deep into that. So
it is that whole balance word. That's why we change. Like as we were coming up with these questions, you kind of gravitate towards how do you balance work and personal life, because it's a big question people ask, especially when you're an entrepreneur too, because there's like so much. There's other jobs out there too where you can't just check out, but there are some, right, where you can just kind of work is work, home is home. When you're an entrepreneur running your own business, that's like for sure not a thing. So yeah, the balance piece. I actually would say right now, I haven't been doing a great job of it. I've actually been really struggling with this. And what I was thinking about today is when I have felt like I'm in a good rhythm with it, is when I have written out schedules for my morning. And I've walked away from that. And I was just thinking this morning I need to do it again. So to explain that a little more, I will get up at different times of the morning and still try to cram the same amount of stuff into the day, or into my morning rather. And I can't get the same amount of things done if I get up at 5 versus 6 versus 7. So I've actually written out for myself a schedule. If I get up at 5, I can do these things. If I get up at 6, I can do these things. If I get up at 7, I can do these things, as a reminder that I can't do the same. So I was just thinking about that this morning. I think that's a big piece of how I start my day to help juggle work and personal life. Otherwise, I just get up and I start like working, and that's not a good way to juggle it at all.
No.
Yeah.
I do think that works for you for sure.
It does. I know it sounds very like structured and all these things, but it just like orients my brain. Also, bags make a big difference. I know you do this a lot, but just having like a bag for different things
Mm-hmm.
is, I know we're like
Yeah,
talking really practical here, but like the bag to go to daycare, the bag to go to work, the bag for the lunch, the bag for yoga. Like I've got different bags that helps a lot too. And that, you've talked about that a lot, Michaela. You do that a lot.
it's why you always need more bags.
Yes.
My husband
Tote
tries to tell
bags.
me, okay, if you're gonna get a bag, you gotta get rid of a bag. I was like, no, you always need more.
No.
So
Especially if you're going to add any kiddos to the
yeah,
mix, you need more bags. 5 more bags
yeah,
per child.
yes, or more.
Um, what
I think.
skill are you currently trying to improve?
Oh, I'm trying to improve the amount of time it actually takes me to do stuff. So kind of back to your morning thing. I have my concept of time is not great. So
Yeah.
then I get like carried away doing something. I'm like, I have like 3 more minutes. I gotta go. So just trying to be like prep myself the day before. Like I need an hour and a half to do X, Y, Z, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just winging it in the morning. So,
Mm-hmm.
what about you?
The mornings are like such a thing. Like if you can get that morning nailed down, I feel like the rest of the day, I mean, it makes sense, but the rest of the day just flows so much easier for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
A skill I'm currently trying to improve. I would say, I've been just, it's kind of a fun skill, but just working on watercolors. I've really been enjoying working on watercolors, and there's a couple of like
Beautiful.
techniques I'm trying to play with and figure out. So just kind of a fun skill I'm trying to improve. Work
Yeah.
skill wise, though, I'm trying to get a little bit better at my writing, and ChatGPT has been helping me with that. I've been trying to lean into ChatGPT, but not use it as a complete crutch. Where I'm like, no, I'm still going to start it on my own and use it to revise. So I'm trying to like kind of improve my writing skills and make it like from me, especially with AI being out
That's
here.
that's good. Because sometimes I sit down and write, I'm like, what am I gonna write? Like not leaning into
Yes.
that all the time.
Which has
Um,
been helpful since you've been doing our ChatGPT workshops. It's just like kept it top of mind, like how you have said over and over again. Like I know it, but just even hearing you say it during our workshops of like, hey, use it as a tool, as a revision, because I
mhm.
can very easily lean into it as like a 100% tool, and I lose who I am in it. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
there are ways around that though. Come to the workshops.
I'm going
Yeah.
to our own workshops because they're so good.
We skipped one back in here. I'm gonna
Oh,
jump back up
sorry. Okay.
there. One book that has significantly influenced your professional life.
Mm.
I'm guessing we'll have
Okay,
the same.
I know we have the same book, so I'm actually gonna go with a different one because I know you're gonna bring up
Okay.
like the favorite one, right? I recently read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and like probably within the past 6 months, and I feel like it impacted professional and personal, of just thinking about not being in this like hurry all the time. And I've been thinking about that again recently because I feel like I'm like falling back into it. And so I want to eliminate that. So the ruthless elimination of hurry, and that is John Mark Comer is the author. What about for you?
Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss.
Mm-hmm.
I like that book so much. I even created a chat GPT that will respond like him. I wish it had his voice because if you're into good audiobooks with a good voice, his is killer. To give you a little what it's about an FBI negotiator who teaches you how to negotiate as if your life depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you actually introduced me to the book.
Yeah.
There was a client who was kind of surprised by the price of some photographs, and you're like, use this, like go through this, like ask these series of questions, do this, and the client was happy. It was great. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, this really works. So yeah.
Well, and then I remember you calling me. Did you use air? I know you used it to negotiate the price on a camera, and you like called me all excited. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I just negotiated!" Like,
In a
I feel like you
hotel.
called me 3 or 4 times with like, "I just negotiated this, I just negotiated that," like during that time period.
like within like a weekend, like right after reading it, I negotiated the price of a camera, a hotel room, and something else. I don't remember, but I was like, this is amazing. It is fun
Yeah.
too when other people are like, you tell them to read it, and then they call you and they're like, this is fascinating. This works. So
Yeah.
I've listened to it twice all the way through, and then clipped pieces to go back and listen to. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think you started mentioning this, but we even took because it's kind of like tools and phrases and frameworks you can use. And so, Michaela, you laminated for us, like kind of like I would reference sheets, I guess what I call them. And we have them in the studio. So sometimes when we're on the phone, like, the internet provider is often one, right? Where I can tell you're getting like upset. There's angry pounding on the keyboard. And then we'll like slip these over to each other, like, don't forget, like, to use
with a
these
highlighter.
with a highlighter right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. That was for sure the one I would probably say long-term impact has been a good book.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, What the Heck is EOS has been one, and Traction, like the EOS books for sure too.
Those are good.
Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? I think we're on like question 6-ish.
Number 6.
Yeah. Okay. For you, what was one of your bigger challenges when starting? Let's talk about starting Tandem Works, because we've had multiple businesses. So when starting Tandem Works, and how did you kind of navigate through that when we got started?
Well, I was quite used to just making all my own decisions and not consulting with anyone else. And I kind of sometimes will make a quick decision without, go with my gut. Yeah, got it. So I started the business without consulting with my husband, with you, with Tandem Works. So yeah, I left out the piece that I was, eventually I'm going to make more money, but right now I'm going to take a pay cut, and didn't think that I should chat that over. So that didn't go over real well, but yeah. So now I am, it's a piece of advice I give a lot of people. Don't do it without start talking to your, we just did it for a client the other day, and they thought for sure that their wife wanted to do XYZ, and it was not what they wanted to do. So just communicating those things. So that's probably.
Yeah, that is a big one. And that is funny you bring that up too, because I think people come to our roadmap communication workshops and they think, oh, this is just going to be like marketing. It's like, no, there's a reason why communication is part of the title. Like, it's road mapping strategy for all of communication. And I agree, like, that communicating piece is huge. And I think we often do forget that, like, to include the people around us, our families.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. For me,
So
I think it was, I would say, so I was coming off of a number of things. We talked about that earlier. But I would say it would be the transition of straddling, because I spent a little bit of time straddling like you said, a real job and being kind of in with what we were doing, and it was getting started. We were figuring it out. And just that straddling the two worlds is hard to do. It's hard to be like all in. You can't be all in. I mean, one foot's in one and one foot's the other. So I would think that was probably the biggest how I overcame it. Frankly, like I worked a lot of hours, and just tried to squeeze things in. And then, I mean, ultimately, I got laid off of the job. I had planned I was probably transitioning out soon. It came a little sooner than I expected, but it was like the biggest gift, because I didn't have to break up.
Out well.
They broke up with me. Yeah, they broke up with me, which was great. Yeah. Okay. What do we got? Okay. Best piece of advice you've ever been given, funny or serious? I have to think about this too.
So do I.
Best piece of advice.
I would probably say my mom always encouraged us to basically don't do something for the money. Do it because you love it. So I think we all kind of took that, my siblings and I all kind of took that to heart, and really listened to her, because she hated her job, so, and did it for the money and not because she liked it. So what about you?
Okay, I'm gonna go the funny route with this one. Not exactly advice, but kind of like a best practice. When eating noodles, and roast beef and mashed potatoes, you should always make a bowl with the mashed potatoes and put the noodles and the gravy like inside, like the broth inside of it, and it makes like a little boat so that you don't get it like all over everything. So I'm a big believer in that.
Carbs on carbs right there. That's what I always say about those dishes.
Oh yeah, carbs on carbs, right.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite things though. I like it's like a childhood thing. Um Another quirky thing, again, not necessarily like advice, but like a best practice. Like we put our pajamas underneath our pillow. And then I discovered later in life that not everyone does this. Like that because you wear your pajamas more than once in our world. And so, but you don't want to put them back in your clean clothes and you don't want to throw them on the floor. So you would fold them and put them under your pillow. And I just thought that was like best practice for everybody. Turns out it's not. That's not a thing.
No, not in my world anyway.
Business advice, I would say know your numbers. Like that's probably the biggest one where just people over and over again have been like, don't be afraid to know your numbers. Then you can make decisions.
Yeah. True.
Let's see. Number 8.
Favorite? You get to go first this time.
Oh, okay.
Favorite guilty pleasure, snack or food?
Guilty pleasure, snack or food. Ice cream. Probably for sure ice cream. Just straight out of the tub.
What
I'm gonna go with ice cream. I like the fancy ice creams. I like the Ben and Jerry's where it's got all kinds of stuff mixed into it. So peanut butter cups and pretzels and ribbons of chocolate. And yeah, I like it when it's got a lot going on in there. Ice cream for sure. And our little guy who's with us right now, he knows it and he plays me on that too. He's like, how about some ice cream? And I'm like, yeah.
Okay, what's that? Did you know that Dairy Queen was like one of the only jobs I applied? I mean, I've applied for jobs and I've gotten them, but a job I did not get.
Really?
Because I put on the application that I could only work when my friend worked. She's like, only put down that you can work when I work. Yep, didn't get the job.
Yep. Not flexible.
Nope, I have to work when she works. Mine
That's cute.
Food would be probably cottage cheese and ranch veggie straws.
That is a good combo.
People look at you like, what are you doing? But then they try it and they're on board.
I love how you're like, my guilty pleasure snack or food is this ultra healthy. And I'm like, ice cream.
I'm not a big ice cream.
I'm not a cake person. Do you like cake?
No. I mean, I will eat a little bit of cake here and there, but I'd rather eat more mashed potatoes.
With noodles on top.
Or cottage cheese, yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with setbacks and failures? Also, do you believe in failures? Do you believe in failures? Let's start there.
Not really. I feel like there's something always to be learned. Yeah. That's not the right word. Yeah. I even sometimes find myself before something happens being like, well, if that were to happen, I would probably learn something like this. I'm like, okay, just stop. Nothing's happened yet. Just keep going. So
yeah,
there's usually a silver lining.
So how do you deal with it then? Is that how you deal with it? You're just like, it's gonna be fine because you're always looking for the silver lining. Is that how you do that?
Yeah. I think so. What about you?
I probably am I have to talk it out. I would say I have to talk it out. I have to process it. I can know in my head, but then I have to process out loud. So I come into the studio and I like talk ad nauseum to you and you're like, yeah, and it's all going to be fine. I'm like, I know. I just have to talk about it all.
Yeah.
It's one thing to like know that things are going to work out, and it's another thing to like live through that too, right? Like I feel like you handle things really well. So I lean into you, especially when things come up like during the day or whatever, where I'm like, okay, what would Michaela? I often am like, I'm channeling my inner Michaela right now. Because I struggle with setbacks and failures. That's hard for me, for sure. Not that it isn't hard for everyone, but I can beat myself up a lot, like quickly.
Yeah. You can. I do enjoy stopping you and be like, wait, Look how far we've come. Look at
Yeah.
this. Oh, that's fun for me.
I mean, it's a really great part of having a partner in business too, with those differences. Because I feel like I can do that for other people, but it's hard. Yeah.
You do it for me, so
yeah.
It goes back and vice versa. Yeah.
Definitely an overachiever, firstborn, got to earn the trophies. So I take it pretty hard. Yeah. Okay. What's a non-business related passion of yours?
It's currently a non-business related passion. That could always change. You never know.
Could turn into a business.
Never know. Prior to COVID, I couldn't keep a indoor or outdoor plant alive. I didn't know you had to water things more than you do. Outside ones like every day and inside ones like once a week. No one told me. So that's kind of what I did during COVID. Started collecting houseplants, and I very rarely now have to send them to plant rehab. Plant rehab that's is right. Either your house or our friend's house. So
yeah, I do remember. So when we first started doing some work together with the photography, and we had a different studio. So Michaela had a studio prior, and it was just down the street from where we're at now, but it was up a whole flight of stairs. And there were plants in there, and they just always looked really sad. So then I would just like take them and
I'm gonna take this back home today. I'll be back.
Yeah. I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
I still have one of them that, even though you're great at plants now, you're never getting back. And it actually might be your sister's.
It's not mine. Yeah, it's hers.
Yeah.
Those plants were all on loan.
So not only you were killing plants that were on loan, which is funny, but you're great with plants now. Like, yeah, you've got a great wall of plants. It's awesome.
I still kill some every once in a while, but
yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of little scales on one of my plants, which they're just like a little tiny like insect, but they're terrible. And I tried for a whole season to nurse one back, and I finally had to throw it away. And it was kind of like a little mini funeral. I felt terrible about it, but it was for the good of the other plants. Terrible stuff. Passion for me, non-business related passion. Outside of like really enjoying watercolors right now, camping, I would say for sure. Love camping or gardening outside when the season's right. I like just kind of outdoors, hiking, camping, being outside, those types of things. I would say that would be for me. Going in our teardrop camper, which is super fun. And you like to camp too.
Yeah, sure.
Hey there, busy to the brim people. Are you feeling overwhelmed with your social media? Well, you're not alone. It's a common challenge in our digital world. Creating social content can be a tricky beast to tame for people like you and I. So I'm popping into my own podcast to tell you that there is a solution, and it's called a social sidekick. This isn't just a typical social media content service. We offer a partnership through TandemWorks and our team to take your social media from overwhelming to extraordinary. Having a social sidekick is a game changer for your business. Imagine having a 12-month custom strategy tailored to your brand, content that's done for you that truly resonates with your audience, and growth tactics that actually work for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. With a social sidekick, you get more than just posts. We're very committed to that. You get a partnership. We're here to help manage your social media with a personal touch, ensuring your message is not just heard, but felt. So if you're ready to take your social media from overwhelming to outstanding, I'd love for you to visit the website, thetandemworks.com/social-sidekick-content-creation. Don't worry, there's a link in the show notes, and you can discover there how a social sidekick can transform your digital presence. Let's make your digital presence as impactful as your business with a social sidekick, where we're amplifying your story one post at a time. Okay, let's jump back in.
Let's see. Oh, 11. We're getting close to the halfway point here. This is fun. I don't know if people are learning new things or what, but I think this is fun.
Yeah.
Okay. What's a habit that helps you be productive?
Probably my planner. And just having even a visual of my day. Otherwise, I can get sidetracked and start. I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to be working on? And I'll start working on something that doesn't matter.
Okay. expand on the planner because it's a special planner. It's not just a planner.
It's my ADHD planner. Actually, it's right here. I have it just in case I think of something during this that I need to write down. You never know. You have like a big 3, and then it gives you a visual of your week, which I really like. The only thing it doesn't come with is little sticky tabs, but I ordered some so that's easier to flip back and forth if you have like a page you want to come back to. So yeah, I do enjoy it. I probably I don't use it to its full capacity though. So
yeah.
What about you?
Love using a planner for sure, but I would say how it helps you be productive. I do have a different planner. Mine's not an ADHD planner, which if people are interested, we did an episode actually between you and I about working with partnerships where someone has ADHD and the other person does not. So you can check out that episode too. I think we talk more about different just aspects of that. But okay, habit that helps me be productive. My morning routine. Yeah, I would say my morning routine helps me be productive. If my morning routine gets off, it is, I have a hard time. Like I get derailed for sure. So let's say I do get derailed, something that helps me be productive would be using our matrix, just the urgent, important, not urgent, not important. So the Eisenhower matrix. Yes. And there's a blog on that too, if people want to check that out. But we have it in our office on a whiteboard, just kind of permanently taped off. So if I get derailed, I would say that would be what gets me back to being productive again.
I do enjoy that both of us can be like, is it time to put this stuff up? You sound a little bit like you might need it. So I like that we both do that for each other.
I mean, basically that happens and you're like, yes, I'm a disaster. Thank you. It's a nice way of saying you're a disaster right now, and let me help you.
Let's get it together. Yeah,
let's pull it together here. Do you need? I think we're like, and oftentimes if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. But if not, I'm making like a crossover. We're often like, do you need the matrix? Yeah. And
I even taped one up by my desk, so
it's super helpful. Have you had any unexpected lessons with like running a business, either together with TandemWorks prior? What have been some of your learnings or unexpected lessons?
I didn't expect for the business to grow as much as it did during COVID.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel bad, like when people are talking about how terrible COVID was for them. I think we did a really great job of having a balance and shifting and being able to make quick moves and help people. And we didn't watch a whole lot of Netflix, and I think that helped.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it did. And it was just interesting to see too how we kind of flipped roles a little bit. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely the more homebody, but because of you, Michaela, had kids, I didn't.
Homeschool,
schools, homeschooling, like all the things. So Michaela's homeschooling. I'm the homeschooled kid. Like, it was just like everything felt really flipped. But I think it was also really good for us because we exercised muscles we wouldn't normally have to. And yeah, that was an interesting time, right? Lots of unexpected lessons for sure. I think unexpected lessons for me would be that, and I feel like I'm still learning this to be clear before I say this, but that I do have a seat at the table. I think throughout business with my ex-husband, now with you, I've just been in situations unexpectedly, like in the room with people that I would not have expected. And there's lessons learned there of like, oh, I have value to bring, or to see how people do things and to like take a lesson from them. I've just been really fortunate, and that has been unexpected. Frankly, when I started out with my own business things, never dreamed of being in such opportunities to have impact like we have. and also to gain such wisdom from people that I really admire. So.
And it's interesting because the variety of people and industries that it's really, it's on one end over here and one end over here. So it's very, to be able to push all that together.
Yes.
I think there's a lot to learn.
It is really cool because I mean, like in 1 week, I mean, that's a good point, Michaela. Like in one week, we'll do a roadmap session with a solopreneur who's just, figuring things out, getting going. And the same day, or they were doing a strategic plan with a large nonprofit. And then, we're doing podcasts with interesting people. And then, we might be facilitating a workshop with a room of completely diverse folks. Like,
it could be high schoolers, you never know.
It could be high schoolers, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that has been kind of unexpected. Hey, this next question is really good because of what you're saying about the COVID stuff, I think. How do you stay motivated? Yeah. During tough times.
You can go first if you want to.
Motivated during tough times. Okay. I cope with it by talking, for sure. But to stay the motivated piece, for me, it's moving my body to be just like get down to the nitty gritty, like getting on the treadmill and running and listening to music and sweating helps me a lot to like get my mind wherever I need to be channeling and stay motivated. Like if I can get my body moving and motivated, I can usually get my brain moving and motivated too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Like with flexibility, sometimes you're like, I'm going to go downstairs. I'll be back in 30. I'm going to go run.
Yeah.
I'm going to go run for a little bit. So it does help you. I definitely process through talking as well, but then trying to remind myself of what is the end? Like, what are we working towards here? That helps me stay motivated.
It's like kind of that why piece, right? Like, what is even the end goal here?
Yeah. What are we trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
I'm rolling away.
So important.
Crossing those out as we go so I don't get...
Yeah. You take the next one. I think we're at 14-ish. Yeah.
What's your favorite part of your daily routine?
Everyone's gonna be like, geez, Vivian, is it anything? It's my morning for sure. Especially when I get to sit out on my front porch. Like, I love to start the day in my pajamas with a cup of tea. I do a little reading, I do a little praying, I do my devotions, and I love when I can do it on the front porch. And it's quiet, and it's by far the favorite part of my day.
You are a routine person.
I am a routine person.
Yes.
I'm like, it's coming through so loud and clear today. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Routine and things like that are something I've had to work very hard at because they don't come naturally to me. So when I first read that, I think, what routine?
Yeah.
I think I drive Nick nuts because I was like, well, what time do you have to get up? I'm like, well, I have to get up by this time, and then I change it 10 minutes later.
Okay, maybe what's a favorite part of your day? Maybe instead of routine. Because that's fair.
Yeah, because mornings are a little rough right now because it's nice outside. So we're playing outside and everything gets pushed a little later. So I've kind of have some crappy kids in the morning.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I really enjoy sitting on my back patio. It's nice back there. So.
If I was to have to answer that for you, bending the rules here, because of what you were saying about the routine piece, I would say one of the favorite parts of your day is when there's a break in the routine. When you're like, suddenly got invited out, or you went for a walk and you ran into somebody on the 100 block, or you're like, I'm going to run next door. We have a cute like boutique next door to our studio, and I'm just going to pop into this room. I feel like your favorite part of a daily routine is when the routine gets interrupted unexpectedly.
Oh yeah.
If it's a good interruption. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. I do enjoy that.
Spontaneity.
I do love the ability to be spontaneous.
Yeah. Michaela, if you weren't doing this Tandem Works, what would you be doing instead?
Probably a plant store with really good coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some curated gifts. What about you?
Well, seeing as how there's been some texting going back and forth about this topic, um, similar, right? Although, okay, so yes, I would love to have a plant shop, and I love the idea of curating like creative, cool stuff, and also just having a creative space for people to work in. Alternatively, also on my mind would be leaning into like the watercolor and doing something that I could do out of a camper. So like being on the road a bit more and doing something that was very mobile. So the plants would be less mobile, um, but something artistic, I think, like really leaning into the artistic side.
You could have a plant trailer.
Okay, so I've thought about this because this whole idea, right, of like helping people repot their plants or care for a plant, or I love, one of our friends was talking about going and helping. I wouldn't do this, but like her, like consulting on how they could rearrange plants and the lighting. So I have thought that like when we open up this new venture, we could have a really cute plant trailer.
We could, like in an Airstream, it'd be really cute.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then like the coffee piece could go into one half, so it's like this coffee trailer plant thing.
I say the coffee, but then I'm like, that kind of sounds like a lot sometimes.
Okay, but I've been thinking about this. What if it was like a little more self-serve, like, but in a really like fun, creative way, like a coffee bar. You can put things in, so it's a little less intensive, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We might have
Okay,
to.
we're gonna talk about this some more.
Yeah. Some more. We might have to ask the people what they want.
Don't worry, it's fine. We'll just get a couple Keurigs. We'll line them up. Done. Okay, I think you take
All right.
16.
What's one goal you've set for either next year or maybe one goal you've set this year?
A goal I've set. So usually I'm like such a goal setting person. So a goal I've been talking a lot more about lately here with my husband too is, and totally plays into a previous episode about joy with Lisa even, but that joy is your job. A goal I definitely have is just to continue curating more joy. One of the ways that I set a goal to go to yoga twice a week, even though it's on Tuesdays and Fridays. So Tuesdays, it's like kind of starts eating into the morning, and I like to get like working in the morning. But I did set that goal for this year, and I think I'm going to continue it into next year. It has been really helpful for me, for sure, to do that, like give permission for that. So, and you've been supportive of that too, because it does eat into that Tuesday morning. So, yeah. What about for you?
I really enjoy greeting cards.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy buying them, but I don't send them. So I made it something that I'm tracking, which you're aware of that.
Yeah.
So we had these custom Tandem Works cards made. And so then I have to check box that I sent them after certain things. So
it is really fun to see you with like stacks of cards on the table. You're like addressing envelopes and
yeah. And I love mail, and then people send you mail back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been fun.
Have you had any, like, have people mentioned it at all to you? Not that you're doing it for that, but I'm just curious, like, when you're sending these cards out, what are you sending the cards out for too?
It depends. Sometimes it's a thank you card. Sometimes it's just a hey. And then we also have one that's like, it says to Iowa's best. So that's been fun with my leadership Iowa class. Sometimes I send them to them. You can write it in. Yeah. People are sending them back. People like them. So it's been fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
I do love mail.
Means you have to have stamps on hand though. Thank you, Jenny.
Yes, thank you for keeping us in stock of stamps and everything else, for sure. Let's see. A couple more questions here.
Yeah.
What's a small thing that makes your day better?
Mm. I could go a lot of different ways with this one. I do really enjoy when my coffee's made when I get up and ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's a nice thing. I'm like, there it is. I can just grab it and go.
As in somebody made the coffee for you, like Nick made the coffee for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He was totally against pour over coffee. And he's like, his would just set, he'd do it the night before, and then 5 a.m. it'd start making the coffee. So, but now I have him on board he makes his own pour over too. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you put anything in your coffee? Straight up black?
Nope, black.
Yeah. Has that always been the case from day one?
Mm-hmm.
Like coffee drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I definitely went like the opposite direction. When I first had coffee, it was like the most sugary, like, like whipped creamed up thing. And then I kind of like eased backwards out of that. And now I mainly drink tea. So,
yeah.
But I started on the other end of the spectrum because this whole coffee thing. And then part of it too was like, this is dang expensive. So I can't. No, hold the whipped cream. Thank you.
Yes.
Small thing for me would be small thing that makes your day better. I really like a good pen.
A good pen?
A good pen. Like, I do use a planner. I fill it out. I'm writing things down throughout the day. And I do feel, this sounds really silly to say it now. Who cares? I don't mind if it's silly. There are certain pens that kind of make me grumpy. Yeah, and I'm like, and I stick with it because I can't find another pen and whatever, and it's fine. Like, it's not gonna like ruin my day. But man, when I have like the pen I really like, it's just like it's
delightful.
Great. Oh my gosh, it's so delightful.
Especially if it's with good paper.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Which a friend she gave us both notebooks around holiday, and the paper's made out of this, like, I've got to look at it, but it's like a stone. It's a stone something. It is amazing. I love it. I need all my paper that way now.
I started to write in it. I'm like, I feel like I should be writing something that's like significant.
Important, I know.
And I'm like, I'm writing basically some groceries or something. I don't remember what I was writing about. I was like, this seems like such a waste of paper.
I agree. I was the same way. And so I was like, and I do that with notebooks a lot, like certain notebooks where I'm like, well, this is like a beautiful, important notebook. So it has to have beautiful, important things in it.
Yeah.
Luckily I journal, so I do get to go through a lot of notebooks. So.
And pens then.
Side note, question number 17A, do you journal? I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Do you journal? Did you ever journal?
I used to. I've got like boxes of them. I don't anymore. Back to your pen comment though. We did a workshop yesterday and I was passing out pens and I started to hand someone a pen. I go, oh, Vivian didn't realize this is one of my pens. I stuck it in my back pocket. I'm like, I don't share these pens. And they looked at me. I'm like, it's a Bic Atlantis 800. Sorry. I keep these.
It's a special one.
Yeah. So I literally stopped mid. I'm like, yes, give that back, please. So.
And they do disappear, and I don't understand. Like, we do order our pens, and you have a pen you like, I have a pen I like fairly often. So they clearly do like walk off and end up, and it is. I totally understand putting it in your back pocket. Permission given
Sometimes
to you at any time.
I have like 17 though in my purse. I'm like, oh, this is where pens go to die.
Oh man, we actually, so we joked about this like so much that we started a page with our favorite things, and one of the things that sparked it was these pens. So we have like affiliate links to our favorite pens. So that's how much of a nerd we are about our pens.
Yeah. It is not something you think about until you're like, this pen is awful.
Oh my gosh. It's true though. And now like the really, really cheap tchotchke pens, I don't even touch them. Like basically the pen does not exist if it's at that level. I just can't do it. Man, we are pen snobs. Well, moving right along.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think you take 18.
What does success mean to you?
Okay. Success to me means opportunities. That I have opportunities and that I have the ability to create opportunities for others. And when I walk that backwards, to me, that does mean making money. Like, and I know I kind of feel like people are like, well, you're not supposed to say that, right? Like, success is supposed to be, I'm like, yes, but there is a level of like, that does tie back to having the funding to be able to create the opportunities. So success to me is opportunities, which does mean creating wealth. And then like how I would measure that success would be that I know that I'm able and I am being generous, like really generous with my family, generous with my community, generous, just generous, right? So
Yeah.
that's how I define success. That being said, I don't want that like success at the cost of my health and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about for you?
What about a boat? No.
A boat? So
yeah.
I don't want a boat, but you would like a boat. You're a
I would
boat
like
person.
a boat. I would like a boat.
Yeah. I'm not a boat person. And there's nothing wrong with being a boat person.
No,
I
I want
great.
one. I look at them, but probably success. A lot. I could echo a lot of those same things. Like not having to worry, and like it, like everything. I mean, everything's not always going to be enjoyable 100% of the time, but for the most of the time, mostly, yeah, mostly it's good.
Okay. Since we're talking about success, also having a personal driver and an IT person.
IT is how I will measure that we've made it.
Yep.
If I don't have to call another internet provider or fix the printer again,
it's
so
true.
happy.
Like we have made it. We're successful. Yeah. It's funny, those little things that are really big things. I hate driving, and I have said this and journaled it down for a long time. Like I would love to have a personal driver. I will give up other things to have a personal driver, right? Like I will just do it. I can get a lot done in the car too. It's such a waste of time to drive. And I'm not a good driver, so yeah. Okay, speaking of boats and stuff, what? You were thinking?
I was thinking, so I almost had my friends all talked into buying a $5,000 limo. All you need is a driver then.
That's right.
You'd have all the room for work. Like you could lay your planner out.
You could have like a desk in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have a little makeup counter so you could be doing your makeup while you go to the meeting because who has time to do that in the morning?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Exactly. So. All right.
I think we do it. I could give up other things. I don't need a fancy house. I just need a driver. Okay.
Okay.
What's your favorite way to unwind after a long week? Yes, I think ours.
Well, like we kind of sit in the backyard, probably. Nick grills. I don't do any. I mean, I do stuff, but if he does the majority of the cooking, I can sit back and hang out. I enjoy that.
I'm similar. I like to just sit outside, have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And just hang out in the backyard. It's great. For sure. All right. Ooh, we're hitting in the 20s here.
Yeah. One piece of technology you can't live without.
Piece of technology I can't live without. A washer and dryer. I can't live without a washer and dryer. I can live without a dishwasher. I like the idea of living without my phone and computer. I know that sounds wild given what we do, but I like the idea of it. But a washer and dryer, like even if I went back to like just really back to the basics. I think I have a dog who's losing her mind at my house here right now. It would be a washer and dryer.
Washer and dryer.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say my I have a hard time if I don't have my watch because I always lose my phone, especially at my house. Sometimes on the weekends it'll be gone for a good 3-4 hours, and then I have to buzz it on my phone or on my watch. All right, I think we're at what was your favorite TV show? TV show growing up.
It was Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, first adult-ish TV show that we were allowed to watch as kids.
Nice.
We recorded it on VHS. I probably still have them. We even tried to like cut the commercials out. You gotta be really good at that. Like, cut it, go, cut it, go. Yeah, they're terrible recordings.
Yeah, the things we had to do. Mine was Dawson's Creek, and it was on Wednesday nights, and I always had CCD. And my older sister was done, and so she would like pretend to tell me she was going to tell me what it was about or what happened. So then I'd have to watch it when I got home. She would record it for me though.
Oh man, I knew it was Dawson Creek. I just had I had a feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I never watched Dawson Creek. Yeah. Did you? Okay, like going way back into earlier childhood. Did you watch like Sesame Street and like what was your real childhood? We did like Sesame Street, Looney Tunes.
Full House was probably.
Full House, yeah, that's right. Kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you threw a party, what kind of party would you throw?
One that someone cleaned up afterwards. They cleaned my house before and they cleaned my house after.
Oh, that's funny.
We used to throw some big parties. We haven't for a while, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Party. If I were to throw a party, it would be very small. There'd be about 3 people there. We'd do something pretty laid back. And there would be charcuterie. For sure. That'd be my kind of party.
Yeah. There was pretty good charcuterie board that your mom made for your
wedding shower. Yeah, that's right. It was really good. She did a great job with it. She learned like about the countries and the cheeses and the meats and how they were supposed to like pair together on the board and the whole science of it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I think you get number 23.
Biggest pet peeve.
Oh boy. I mean, aside from like the direction of the toilet paper and all that kind of stuff, I would say biggest pet peeve is when people ask me the same question again and again when they could have just written it down. I don't mind people being curious. I don't mind people asking questions. And I totally don't mind like people needing to ask like more than once. But it does drive me nuts when I'm like, I did say that. Did you not read the email? Or I did explain that. Why didn't you take notes? That drives me nuts. You
have done a good job though at people who have historically not, you're like, are you writing this down or do you need to take notes?
Yes.
Are you sure you're not annoyed?
So I'm not annoyed later.
Yeah.
Yes. How about for you? Pet peeve?
Loud chewers. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Or like
smacking. I was worried about stuff like that too. I'm like, am I doing that? Because it sounds really loud in your head when you're chewing.
There are some things that are louder than other things.
Yeah.
That you just can't really.
Yeah.
You can't control. But if I'm eating, it doesn't bother me. Unless they're a smacker.
Right. Yeah, that is the worst. Like, ooh. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be a loud, don't be a smacker.
No.
What's something you've learned, like total deviation here. What's something you've learned, Michaela, about leadership while running our business?
It definitely looks different to different people. And to what it is. That sounds really vague. But people's definitions vary a lot. So I just keep that one vague.
Yeah, that's fine. Something I've learned about leadership running our business would be, so our friend Casey Putney says this, like that leadership is simply put just influence. And like, you can be influencing positively, negatively, one way or another. Leadership is influence. So I've thought a lot more about that. I think I used to think of leadership, especially first starting a business, as like essentially having all the answers and telling people what to do. And I think I've learned that to be a good leader, I don't have to have all the answers. I just need to be thinking about the influence I'm having on people.
Yeah.
If I think about that, then I'm, on the right track.
Yeah. And just helping them get there.
Mm-hmm.
To
Right.
the answer.
Yep. We are
right.
on question number 25. This is an equal 50 here.
At almost 60 minutes.
At almost 60 minutes.
Yeah. What's a question you wish people would ask you more often?
I wish people would ask me, and frankly others, more often. So, we say all the time, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would add on, like, how are you really? And like mean it when they ask that, right? Even in those like really professional situations, to just really go like, no, but like, how are you really? Not because things have to be bad or whatever, but I just wish people would ask more genuine questions, maybe is what I'm trying to say there, and get past the superficials. And I wish people would ask me that too, more often.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want everyone to ask me that. I mean, I don't know. Now I get started thinking about it, but just more genuine questions. I wish people would ask more genuine questions more often.
Less superficial questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started. Go ahead.
Oh, I really have more to add. I think you're
good. When you started answering, when you said, what's one thing people should ask more? I was like, what's your sign? Like, people are like, what's your sign? It was just super cheesy. Anyway, it made me think of like 16 personalities and how Myers-Briggs, how we've really kind of leaned into that. Not that I wish people were like, oh, hey, what is your, ENFP? What are you? But more like, I thought something was wrong with me for not asking people what they did for a living. But I really don't care what they do. Like, I care more about like what they're passionate about and like what they're working on and things like that. So, more questions around that, probably. Like, just doesn't really answer the question there, but less superficial questions, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an immediate way for people to judge you too, based on what
it is. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's so easy to jump to conclusions. Like, especially because like that whole question of, so what do you do? Like, there's so much depth to what people do. And yet when you say what you do, it's like you leave so much on the table. Like the elevator pitch, right? I think that's why there's so much like put into this elevator pitch and how do you say everything that you do super fast in a way people are going to understand and succinctly. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. Like, I can't. There's more to me, than that. There's more to what I do than I could possibly get into a sentence or two.
Somebody asked, what do you do? Well, what do you mean? What do I do during the day? What do I do over here? Like, what do you want? What do you ask? What do you want to know here?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What are you really asking for here?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think there's just that genuineness in a way that we're both saying, like really getting to the heart of who people are. One thing too is I do wish people asked me more often, because it would help me like with like what they want, like when they want me to say what I think a solution is. I wish people would ask me more often, what do you think I should do, when they want a solution, and so that I would know, like, are you asking for a solution or do you just want to talk?
Solution or support?
Yeah.
I've been using that.
Yes.
I use it on
so if people could just like walk up and be like, hey, could you support me right now and here, blah, 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 or hey, can you give me an answer right now? That would really help my life like a ton.
You're probably gonna have to ask them though. Like if they start talking, then you say, would you like a solution or would you just like support? And the support, is that listening to you or what does that look like?
Yeah.
Feels really
Absolutely.
weird, but people have appreciated it.
Have you ever been asked like just a totally off the wall question that caught you off guard? I'm trying to think if I ever have been, where I was like, whoa, that was a really interesting question to ask. Like, I didn't see that coming, or.
Yes. Well, I worked in a bar for a long time.
Oh, right.
I got lots of random
questions.
And
we'll leave it at that.
We went to some event and there were some odd questions. I can't remember what they were. Does that jog your memory?
Yeah. Well, okay. So some of the strange questions we do get asked or implied is whether or not like we are a couple, like a romantic couple.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a baby. So there was one time where Michaela, you had a kiddo, a foster kiddo who was little, like very early, like a couple days or weeks. Yeah. So it was at the office and just made a little noise. And it was like, do you have a dog? And we were like, no, we have a baby. And that went sideways. Oh, that's lovely. Like, no. And yeah, we're like, okay, never mind. So yeah.
They're like,
odd questions.
Weren't you just talking about your husband, but then you guys have a baby together? They were
yeah. It got weird quickly. We didn't mean for it to get weird, and then it just got weirder and weirder. I think we've been asked before if we share a car. We're like, no, we don't share a car. Yeah. So yeah, definitely some strange questions have come up, which is kind of fun too. Get asked if we're sisters, if we're related, things like that. So yeah, those are probably some of the stranger questions we've had.
Yeah, people always assume too that like we know everything about technology, like tech or old, like all kinds of things. Like, what? I have this camera. I'm like, okay. So things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Do get some strange questions. Well, speaking of strange questions, we got through 25 questions for our 51st technically episode, but it's kind of fun. I think it's fun to do this. Like, we spend a lot of time interviewing other people and hearing what they have to say, and I just think it's nice to get on here and, hey, I learned new things about you too. So this is really fun. And it's a big thing. Like, part of what we do at Tandem Works is like one of our core values is about staying curious and just taking the time to ask questions and dig in and not like ask the superficial questions, right? Be willing to answer those things. That's a big part of what we do. So this has been good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll invite you on again, as we say every time. You can come back to your own podcast any old time. We'll talk about some more things. I know we've talked about some fun topics, but I am just going to put it out there too. People are listening, like, love, as we always ask, love to have input on guests that we should have on the podcast, as well as topics to cover. And specifically, I'll just put the ask out this time. If you have an idea, if you would like for Michaela and I specifically to cover a topic, please let us know. So you can do that by getting a hold of us. We have a couple contacts that are in the show notes. You can get a hold of us that way. You can get a hold of us on social media. Our email's in there as well. But let us know what you'd like to hear about. And then, of course, too, if you are enjoying the podcast, we really appreciate when you leave your star reviews. And on the platforms where you're able, we'd love to have a written review too, because that just really helps us a lot with this type of content. So,
sure.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you later.
Oh my goodness. I hope that was just so much fun for you to get to know Michaela and I a little bit better. We really do enjoy being able to get onto the podcast and encourage you in different ways, whether that's just through sharing some fun and some laughter or really diving into some of the hard things that we have gone through and talking with business owners like yourself and what it's like out there. So with that in mind, I would just love to hear from you as we're embarking into the next 50 episodes of Writing Tandem. What would you like to hear about? Like we said at the end of this podcast, what are your questions? What are you struggling with? What are you celebrating? What are you excited about? And what do you want to know more about? So please just take a moment. Send me an email. It's writingtandem@thetandemworks.com. You can also find us on social media at TandemWorks. On Facebook, and you can also find us on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. And you, of course, just go to the website, thetandemworks.com, and hit the contact form and just let us know. What is it about the podcast you're really enjoying? What would you like to know more about? What's a topic that's of interest to you? Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, like we said, we're celebrating 50 episodes. And one of the things that helps us continue to bring good content your way is for you to take a moment to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, to give a star review. If it allows you to actually do a written review, to actually write a review is super helpful for us as well. And so I would love to have you do that, as well as just share with a friend. So who's somebody you know that needs to hear the podcast Writing Tandem? And just share the love. We'd really appreciate that. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode. And thanks so much for tuning in.